Hello world and praise the Lord. We are on our 5th day of the Occupy conference themed The Great Comeback. We're live from DC Donholm. My name is Makovo Mbada, and with me are two amazing ladies. We're just going to have a conversation around the Occupy conference. Well, allow me to begin on my left. Kindly introduce yourself and share with us the experience you've harnessed thus far, given the previous conferences that you've attended.
My name is Sarah Kaloki. I'm a member of this church. It has actually been a different experience, more of it being relatable to what is going on in my life, and through the speakers, and as we have been told that it's our time to arise, I've decided to take it personally in my life and actually step up into that place. So with the hybrid conference, it has not been as it has been different. In the previous days, I would spend a whole day in church. When with the times that are changing, it has been suited even in people's different time spans. Like someone would still go to work and then they'd come in the evening and attend the conference, and they would have not actually missed out. And so I find that as a good thing, a plus for the hybrid conference. Yes.
Thank you. She has quite a point. I mean, you work. Does this times favor you to attend all sessions in the Occupy conference?
Thank you so much. My name is Faith Kimatu. It does accommodate each and everyone. And considering we are in that time for using social media, people are responding so well. And we thank God.
It is Arise, Adjust, Advance. You've been attending some of the sessions, or rather, perhaps all of the sessions. What have you picked in regard to Arise, Adjust, Advance?
First of all, in the area of adjusting, we had to adjust in, as Sarah said, coming from morning, being physical here, we had to adjust. There are times you can't be here. Like those ones who will be able to come here during the whole day, they're able to be at their workplaces. Before, you would have to be here and get leave. But now they're able to actually receive from their places of work and get a day when they can be here physical. And for me in my life, considering, church, now we have to adjust considering leadership, remembering that we have just lost our reverend. But we are thanking God that we still have fathers, and we are learning even how to adjust towards it and are rising in our positions of leadership and even in our workplaces. And so I thank God.
Well, I want us to play a game. It's quite simple. I mean, we've all attended sessions here. I just want you to pick a line that you can remember from a speaker and quote it right. Any speaker that you've listened to so far. Well, I will begin with, I think that was day 2 with Reverend Julian Kuehler when he was teaching about business, given the dynamic times. And he said that vision without execution is daydreaming. That's my line. So, Sarah, to you, what's your line that you can remember? Just anything.
Well, can I still continue thinking?
Okay, as you think. Let's work with Faith. Can you remember any line?
Okay, I can remember I think it's yesterday, still Reverend Kuehler. He mentioned that we have to know our keys. So what is that key that you press on? That means what are you good at? That in every season you will work towards it without just effortlessly.
Got a good memory right there. So, Sarah, have you thought of something? Or we still give you time to think? Well, as we give you time to think, oh, you have it.
I'm remembering what Reverend Michelle spoke about, and he said in your journey to going to your destiny, you need fatherhood, you need guides, you need encouragers, and you need the prophets.
Quite true. Well, now you will allow us to join into the main auditorium where we have our service leader this day. Back to you, Janet.
Thank you very much, media team. We are excited and we are ready for you, our online audience. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Today, it's exciting because it's something that is close to all of us. That is our health, wellness. And most of us, every time we hear of health or wellness, what comes to mind is the physical health. But however, today we will have an opportunity to be able to understand that for us to have a well-being, we need to be physically healthy, we need to be emotionally healthy, and also we need to be spiritually healthy. And also mental health, very important and very crucial. So welcome to this session. We are going to have Dr. Karari, who is going to take us through the plenary session, and she will be ready for us. When I was talking to her, she told me, Janet, as much as I'm a cardiologist, I am a daughter of the Most High God. So I am excited. I would like to encourage all of us, please, if you don't have enough bundles, Nunua, if you don't have enough time, just create time for this. And I believe after we are done with this workshop session, your life will not be the same again. We will start with the plenary. After the plenary, we will go to the panel discussion. So I would like to encourage each and every one of us, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend that they need to be able to be part of this and make sure that our well-being is right and sharp for the honor and glory of God. Amen. So, without much ado, I would like to request the profile for Dr. Karari to be ran through even as she comes on stage. Thank you very much. Send your questions. We'll be ready for them. Asante sana.
Dr. Karari, Lecturer, Department of Clinical Medicine and Therapeutics, University of Nairobi, and Honorary Consultant Physician, Cardiologist, Department of Cardiology, Kenyatta National Hospital. Dr. Karari is a daughter of the Most High God for 39 years now, who is signed up with God for life. She's a practicing medical doctor for 27 years, a consultant physician for 21 years, and a cardiologist for 18 years, who is also a lecturer in the University of Nairobi for 24 years now. She runs a part-time private practice at Essential Cardio Services, where she treats patients and mentors aspiring cardiologists. She's married to one man and a mother of three, two sons who are young adults and one daughter in her late teenage years. She's a wounded healer with a mission to restore hope to those who have lost it and help people open their eyes, see and harness the jewel God has deposited in each of us for His glory.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And I'm really, really honored to be at DC Donholm. This is a special place for me, though I don't routinely fellowship here. I've had the privilege of sharing the Word of God here. I've had the privilege of interacting with the ladies in Tulizo, a very beautiful program. And I had the privilege of taking care of our late Pastor Matthew. And I came here and I realized I hadn't quite fully let go. And I think maybe that's why we need to talk about health, not just physical, because there are things that do affect our emotions. I happen to have somehow become a close friend to his wife, Nancy. And I still remember I went into denial when I had every sign that indicated he had gone. And when one of the elders called me on the Monday morning, I remember I was just about to leave my house. I was with my daughter, who's a Form 3 student, and I cried like a baby. She's the one who was holding my hand to comfort me. I think she had never quite imagined. Okay, as doctors, we are not supposed to get emotionally involved with patients, but we are human beings. I think one thing I don't think I can ever forget, I have not quite seen a man so sold out for God like he was. I didn't know his time to go had come, but I thank God that I think he saw my pain, that I remember that Wednesday he audibly told me, "Have brought Matthew to myself." And I said, "Thank you, Jesus. I can rest and relax." We are talking about health. Most times we think of physical health, like Janet has just mentioned it. But I like looking at health also from a perspective of royalty. We are royal priests. We are a royal priesthood, a holy nation. We are kings. And I sometimes ask myself, you may be royal, you may be in the palace, but if you are unwell, will you enjoy yourself? I don't think so. And there are several aspects of royalty that are important. Health is one of them. There are other aspects, matters of how you handle your time, money, we need money, we need people around us and so forth. But really, what is health? Health has got three key components, actually 4. In fact, as far as the World Health Organization is concerned, it tells us that being healthy is being in a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not just the physical. And the physical health, of course, we focus a lot on it. And it is important. The food we eat is very important. The rule, garbage in, garbage out, is very real when it comes to the diets that we take, the foods we consume. But I think that point has been belabored. And I will only say, like I keep reminding people, vegetables, against vegetables, there is no law. You eat as much of vegetable as you can. They will not make you sick. Okay, I know there are few that may be a bit acidic, and people with acid problems may adjust a bit. Same to fruits. There is no law against fruits. We need them. But please choose a variety. You can't say I take a lot of cabbage every day or a lot of sukuma every day and claim to have eaten vegetables. Check, they are of many colors. Some are white, some are red, some are yellow, some are green. We need, for fruits, for vegetables, we need across the board. We do need protein, but let's remember, proteins are building foods. So as you get older, the less protein you require, because your body is only replacing cells. The younger ones need a bit more protein. And it's usually very sad that especially the teenage area, puberty stage, when the body is bursting, that's when many people don't want proteins and vegetables. All they want is carbs and fats. That's not very healthy. It's important also to note that when we are choosing foods, carbohydrates are necessary. A little bit of fat is necessary. But let's go the whole meal way. Many of us wait until we say, hiyo ni chakula ya watu wa sukari. That's a diet for the diabetics. By the way, that diet that is we recommend as doctors to the diabetic, to the hypertensive, to the obese, that's actually what should be normal. Let's make effort, and I thank God Kenyans are trying. Let's make effort to do that. And let's also appreciate that we need to keep our bodies in shape and in size. A final comment about food. Let's be very alert about preserved and processed foods, which unfortunately it concerns me a lot, that a lot of our children are growing up on processed foods, preserved foods, sausages, the hams, the hot dogs. the biscuits, the juices, and name them. I think you know that. Most of the preservatives are harmful. Many of us don't seem to appreciate how much sugar and salt is in a bottle of soda. Soda has both sugar and salt. 500 ml of soda, hata kama ni Crest or Stony, the ones people think don't seem so sweet, they'll have about 23 teaspoonfuls of sugar in that one bottle, and a full teaspoonful of salt. And of course, there are preservatives. There is gas, carbon dioxide, for your information. That's why they're called carbonated drinks. And that's not healthy. Those are things we want to avoid. And we need water, please. Water is what we require. Everyone needs water. We may control the amount of water you take. There are certain conditions. I like to just put a little disclaimer. Being a cardiologist, when the heart fails, the body tends to retain water. So there are times I've had patients come in, and we're just not getting their water out because the children are singing, "Maji ni dawa," and they are taking 5 liters of water. No. About an average 1.5 to 2 liters of water daily is enough for all of us. When it's, especially in a season like this, when it's the hot season, you can go up to 3 liters. But water cannot be replaced by anything. And for your information, in case you didn't know, your brain is 85% water. Physical fitness. We need to exercise. I know we are working, we are in the city, we are busy. But physical fitness, physical exercise is critical for all your body parts, all of them, from your brain to your heart, to your joints, to your bones, to your lungs, to your stomach, to your intestines, to your feet, to your hair. Exercise improves circulation and delivery of oxygen and nutrients to every part of your body. And actually, when it comes to exercise, there is one law that applies. Like I said, in terms of diets, it's garbage in, garbage out. As far as physical fitness and exercise is concerned, it is use it or lose it. If you want your joints healthy, if you want your bones healthy, you're going to use them. If you want your lungs healthy, you're going to use them. If you want your heart healthy, you're going to use it. And when you run, the heart rate increases. The vessels dilate and improve, so they don't get stiff. When you're not exercising, your blood vessels tend to stay a bit stiffer, and with time, your blood pressure goes up. And of course, when you're not exercising and what you're putting in is excess carbs than you require, the natural thing is to gain weight. This idea that one has to be big so that tuonyeshe they have worked, they own a few things. I often tell people it doesn't have to be made public. I am fully aware that when you're not big, you don't usually command much respect. As you can see, I'm not in the big group. And I can assure you, I have been told things. I've had a patient, I remember, I think around 2005. I was a bit smaller than I am, who walked in and asked me, "I'm coming to see Dr. Karari." I told him, "I'm here." He said, "No, you don't get it. I'm coming to see Dr. Karari." I said, "You are seeing Dr. Karari." He asked me, "No, is there another one? Is there another Dr. Karari?" Unfortunately or fortunately, to today, go to the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. I don't share my name with another doctor. So when I told him there is none, he said, "No, I expected an old man with gray hair from the description I was given." And I told him, "I'm sorry, I'm this little bodied girl, and kindly exit, because I do not take care of a patient who doesn't have confidence that I can take care of them. And he sat there. He wasn't moving. I told him, kindly, please, there's another patient waiting. Just go back, request the doctor to send you to a doctor who fits your expectation. Then he said, okay, if there's no other Dr. Karari, then just take care of me, if you are the one. And I decided to play a bit naughty. And his problem actually was leg swelling. When the heart fails, legs do swell. And he had hypertension, and I looked at his medication, and I could immediately tell what he had was a side effect of the medication he was not taking. And I decided I will not do any tests. I told him, just change this to this, see me after 2 weeks. And he got so angry, he told me, if I don't get well, I will sue you. That's what it means to be small-bodied. But I told him, that's fine, we will meet in court. God vindicated me. By the time he came back, he literally came and said, I am sorry. He was just, I'm sorry, I am sorry, I am sorry. Don't judge a book by its cover. I know a lot of us seem to struggle because people don't seem to think we are who we are. But I thank God for getting me to that space in life where you are free to have an opinion of who I could be based on what you see, and you have a right to that opinion. I have no problem with it. It's only that your opinion will not define who I am. I'm a daughter of the Most High. And like was read, it's intentional. I celebrated my 39th spiritual birthday, 26th of May, this year. And I signed for Christ for life. I'm not planning to turn back. But all I'm saying is, it is not a big body that gives you value. Because a lot of people, by the way, when their self-worth is down, they do comfort eating. And the comfort eating is often ka chocolate hapa, to chips pale, ka pizza pande ile ingine. I think we know that. But it's not the comfort from food that you need. You just need to find your identity. The Almighty God, the one who formed this world, had you in his mind. He thought of you, and he breathed you into your mother's womb. Read Psalm 139, verse 16. I know we like the upper ones. I'm fearfully and for true. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And God even wrote a book about you. Try figure out what he wrote and do it. Wachana na watu wale wanasema sijui. Let me discuss that a little later, because a lot of us, our soul has a lot of challenges that really messes our physical health. How much exercise do we need? A minimum 30 minutes a day, ideally an hour every day. Hii maneno, I go to the gym once in a while, and you don't have to go to the gym. You are able to exercise in your very house. A skipping rope. And they are available. You just need to jump. You know, when we were children, as we used to even sing a song, Mabriga, Mabriga. Number 28, I went for a walk. This year, next year, sometimes never. As we skipped. You can do that. But don't tell me you only do 30 skips and in a day and you have exercised. No, count 1,000. Of course, remember to land as you land gently. Don't just, if you need some guidance, somebody can guide you, an exercise person can guide you. But we need some form of exercise, walking. You can do stretches. You can use cups in the house to exercise. There are many ways. A lot of TV programs have got such programs that they run live in the morning, in the afternoons. So where there is a will, there is a way. But if you need to avoid arthritis, hypertension, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, and whatever else, you're gonna have to exercise. The next, equally important, is rest. We need physical rest and soul rest. Physical rest, an adult needs 6 to 8 hours of being asleep, not being in bed, being asleep every day, and 1 day of rest in every day, 7-day cycle, Sabbath. It's not just what God told the Israelites, it's scientifically and medically proven. By the way, there is data showing that a normal human brain operates for 16 hours. After 16 hours, it needs to reboot, which happens when we are asleep. So hii maneno, sijui naishi wapi, njamu ya Nairobi, nini. Okay, COVID came, some people can work from home, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. We need to prioritize rest. Physical rest. But it's critical for us to appreciate. A lot of us may be physically resting, but their minds are on an overdrive. We used to say, where I grew up, I used to hear watu wengine wakienda kulala, they would look at the roof, and there were things we called meitereros. What are those? Wooden, timber that was up there that, some of us grew when the houses were thatched and the walls were made from mud. Tulikuwa tunatengeneza hiyo matope, tunatengeneza the udhiga. The matope was cement of those days. There are other things we look at, and our minds can really do overdrive. So you may be resting and waking up tired. Some even actually sleep, but they wake up tired. And that's a sign that their souls are not at rest. And when you look at the 3rd John, it has only 1 chapter. Verse 2, the writer said, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers." I hope we can see the connection. For you to prosper, to be in physical health, your soul needs to prosper. Your soul is a triune. Just like our body has 3 parts, the body, the soul, and the spirit. The soul has got the mind, the emotions, the will. And very often the mind tends to initiate the thoughts that create the emotions. And our will has the duty to determine is what the mind is telling the emotion, is that the emotion I will allow out or not. In a healthy person whose soul is at peace, somebody could do something very wrong to you, but you don't just react. You pause and ask yourself, is the reaction worth it? But many times, our souls are not healthy. Probably even the way we see ourselves, I will not claim I've always had the confidence I have today that it doesn't matter what people think. There are times I desired to be affirmed. There are times I desired to hear, you're doing well. And I realized as much as I was even academically gifted, and gifted also as a doctor, with time, because I didn't reach a point of trying to balance life, and I even at some point wrote an article that balancing life at any one time fully in all aspects is chasing the wind. That's my personal experience. Because I was doing my master's, getting my babies. I went in when my firstborn was 7 months, left 3 years later when I had a secondborn who was 7 months, and I had been sick because of the pregnancy for 3 months, and I had taken a maternity leave of 2 months, and I started teaching in a different department 6 months into my program. Isn't that being mad? I mean, if you think about, I look back and I wonder what was going on. But I eventually realized, I think doing something that could be appreciated gave me some form of affirmation. And all that did was to burn me out. And I went into very severe depression. And that's when I took time to rethink. And then I was such a perfectionist, my house has to be, you know, the food, in fact, was jana hawatapika kwangu. I'm still picky, I confess, I'm picky about food, so I loved cooking for myself. And no house help, my domestic manager will clean my babies, I wash them myself. And you know, unaona ujinga, I was a bit stupid. And it's depression that woke me up. And I realized that the room doesn't always have to be completely clean for me to find sleep. There are days I can say, ngoja kidogo, sleep now is the priority. So mental rest is very, very important. It's affected in many ways. I can see my time is over. The working environments we are in, the families we are in, the relationships we are in. And I would just want to make a point to especially parents, teachers, people in authority, pastors, elders and leaders. We are all leaders. Please let's be kind to those under us. Let's not use negative words to them. When a man tells his son or his daughter, you are as stupid as your mother, sometimes I wonder, who is more stupid here now? You got a stupid woman and called her your wife. And now your own blood is stupid as the choice you made. When you tell a mtoto that wewe umekaa ng'ombe, what are you telling them? When you push everybody to get an A, I know Form 4 results were released the other day. Can I make a public confession? I was a student right through, and I used to think that's how everybody was. I didn't know there was competition. But now, I don't envy any A student. I even sincerely say, if I knew what I know about finances and about life today, I probably never would have done a master's. I could have easily broadened and done things that could develop things that can operate without me. But I tunneled myself to a point that as a cardiologist, not any doctor can come and work for me. I need another cardiologist. We are so few. I was, I think, the first female cardiologist in the country. Today, I will put it here, we have over 100 doctors. Those who qualified 2017, 2018, 2019, and now those who qualified last year, many of them are jobless. And you're pushing your children to take these very highly technical courses, not knowing you are creating KYMs, kada ya moko, okay, that means mutu wa mikono, who actually serve the C's and the D students. I'm not saying if a child is academically gifted, they should not follow through and get their A, but they must know, you A student, let me alert you. Having an A and becoming a doctor, an architect, an engineer, whatever, is not the complete answer. You must develop other skills. Otherwise, you'll be very sick, very frustrated. I hear people complaining that most of us, health workers, are very unfriendly and unkind. Kindly bear with us. Most of us are very frustrated because what we thought would be a reward for the hard work we put in while in school, and as we work, the reward we expected is very far from what the reality. So many are tired, worn out, broke, and frustrated. So just bear with us. Now, one small comment about fear, especially in this era of COVID. Please note that I put also a disclaimer. I am not here to say there is no COVID. COVID is real. COVID kills. And I think here it is even more alive than anywhere, many places. But when you are afraid, fear drops your immune system by about 50%. Do not let fear rule you. And let's also be alert. And by the way, fear not just lowers your immune system, so by the time corona lands on you, your immune system is down. When the test comes positive, it hits even, nosedives even more. But fear is a cause of very many diseases. It's even a killer. And it often originates from the thoughts. And I keep saying the biggest weapon that corona has used is fear. Because many of us don't even remember that other diseases exist. Is there a spiritual cause of disease? A lot of our souls, by the way, become a playground for the devil. It's something to be aware of. The Bible says it not give us a spirit of fear. So there is a spirit of fear. And we need to be discerning enough to deal with it. When Job was sick, God gave the devil permission. I know we don't have time to cover these other aspects. When you talk about genetics, and every time you see a doctor, they'll ask you, is there anybody in your place, family with diabetes, with high blood pressure, and so forth? These are things passed down the lineage. Kindly read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. And the 10 Commandments, remember that God is the only God to be worshipped, and he is a jealous God. And it's critical for us to be aware that some illnesses we experience are coming down our bloodlines, and if that is not addressed, you can live on medication, some will calm you down, but you'll never really find real health. But read Deuteronomy 28. Don't just read the first 13 verses we all love quoting, I am blessed when I come in, I'll be blessed when I go out. Please check from verse 14. If you do not obey me, you will be cursed when you go, and this will follow you to generations. Actually, verse 35 says to forever. So we need to address our spiritual lives. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emma. We've really been blessed and also been informed. It's interesting to know that even as an adult, we need to sleep for at least 8 hours. And I will welcome you to our panel discussion now. And we have Paul Ngunyi, who is joining us, and he's an industrial psychologist. I would like us to have his profile run, even as we proceed on.
Paul Ngunyi. Paul Ngunyi is a prolific coach, trainer, and author. He's focused on strategy formulation and performance management. In addition to being an inspirational speaker, he is a business, career, and personal success coach. He holds a Master of Psychology degree in Industrial and Organizational Psychology, the Psychology of the Workplace, and a first-class honors Bachelor of Psychology degree from the University of Nairobi. He is the founder of Better People Consulting, a performance management consultancy. Before he ventured into human development, Paul enjoyed a successful career in information technology, having worked in multiple global IT corporates in varied roles, including information systems management, technology consulting, sales, and customer care. Paul strongly holds belief that anyone can succeed in life as they desire, as long as they believe in themselves, commit to learning, and be ready to work hard and smart. He has developed multiple programs on business success, personal success, workforce productivity, effective leadership, responsible youth, and accountable parenting. Further, he has helped businesses and individuals gain focus and improve productivity through professional coaching. He is the author of The Art of High Performance, a business, career, and personal success guide, and Youth of Honor, a life skill guide for the youth.
Thank you very much, and welcome, Paul. It's good to have you on the panel. And I will start with you. With current socio-economic impacts of COVID-19 on people, believers have also experienced this form of loss of income, anxiety, and even heightened conflict in families. And from where you stand, I know most of the times you interact with people who've lost their jobs. How do they make sure that they maintain a healthy lifestyle and also have a way of stress management? How significant is that, considering this time?
Thank you very much, Janet. Such a pleasure being here today to share on this subject of wellness, health wellness, and particularly mental wellness. Now, you ask a very important question that in these times of COVID, we note that a lot has happened. Our lives have been disrupted. And in life, there are things we call critical incidences of life. Now, these critical incidences of life, when they happen, they leave us disorganized, they leave us devastated, they leave us in situations that sometimes make us feel very overwhelmed, and we are not able to cope. And Janet, you just mentioned a few of them, one of them being losing livelihood. And it is not just losing livelihood, we also know that we have lost our family members, our friends, people that we know, so it has even a wider impact. So some of the ways that this pressure comes, it shows by something that we all, I think, mention every day, called either stress in easy terms. Sometimes it accelerates and it becomes depression when it becomes very intense. And that has a way of having us lose control. Because when you meet something that you are not expecting, it has a way of throwing you out of control. For instance, you were doing a very good job, you had your children at school, and you had everything taken care of, and all at once you are told there is no job for you. That becomes very distressing. And it is not only for parents who are struggling to take care of their children and families, it's also for the children who are being taken care of by the same parents, because if parents are suffering, then the same is taken to the children. And when that happens, then you realize that everybody is affected. So how do we get ourselves out of that situation? So the first thing is to appreciate that these things kick us out of control. And the first thing, therefore, is to start thinking of how we are going to regain control. Because for as long as we remain in that position of not feeling or not being in control, then we are going to get tormented and oppressed in our minds and our spirits, because stress is nothing than the feeling of feeling overwhelmed by a demanding situation or a demanding experience. So for us to get out of that, the first thing that we must do is to appreciate that we must be participants, key participants in getting ourselves out of the situation that we find ourselves in. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, we therefore come up with a deliberate means of getting back in control. And how do we do that? We can easily do that, well, not easily, but through assistance or through just understanding that, one, we can have an objective look into the situation that we are in. We call it assessment. And assessment is not something new. It's not just for this situation. It happens all the time. Anytime you are faced with any form of difficulty, anytime you are faced with any type of situation, the first thing to ask yourself is, what is this? Define it. So we lost a job, or we lost a friend, or I had an accident, because there are many things that put us into such. Or I'm not even acceptable socially by my friends or by my family, because sources of stress and pressure can be high. But particularly now for this COVID season, we need to ask ourselves, where has this left us? Then we do a critical and deliberate analysis of where you are. No, you lost a job, therefore probably you're not able to pay school fees, you're not to pay house, you're not able to have food, and you ask yourself, so the more you analyze what has happened, the more you also come to terms with it, because coming to terms with it is very important, because one of the reasons we get to stress and depression is because we deny what's happening around us. So we need to accept and know that the fact that this has happened is not the end of life. It is actually another way. I usually say in spiritual terms, it's another opportunity to see God at work. So this is what I was relying on. Now I need something else, and I don't know what it is, but I know I need it. So accept it and start working on it. So assess the impact that has been caused by that, and start asking that now that we are in this situation, what do we do? How do we adjust ourselves? Because almost immediately there must be some form of adjustments. Around this COVID season, people who have been affected most are people who are not easy to adapt, who are not easy who are not flexible. And they're even saying, you know the way sometimes we repeat and say, I can't believe it. This cannot be me. This cannot be us. Yeah. Those are questions that keep us in a vicious cycle. It's the same thing as we usually say, you find yourself in a hole, and instead of trying to figure out how you're going to get back to the top, you continue digging. The more you ask those questions that are not helpful, the more you get into it. And it's simply by refusing to accept that it has happened and doing an assessment of what the impact is. So once you do the impact and you know this is what we need, then it is time to think of the adjustments that you need to do. So what am I going to do? Because right now I was earning 10,000 and now I only have 5,000 because that's what I had saved. How do I survive? So you learn a number of things that you can do, like cutting some of the expenses, maybe even moving houses. And I think that's where I think Daktari's words were very important, because sometimes we are affected by what people say of us. You don't want to move from Donholm because you think that's my stature. I cannot be anything else. Or I'm not even going to tell anybody have lost my job, because what will they say? So we torment ourselves. Yeah. So accept where you are, analyze the situation you are in, and find some means of adjusting. Yes. And finally, you got to take some action, some decisive action. Actually, one of the easiest ways of getting out of stressful situation is being decisive. People that are not decisive find themselves entangled into so many things, and because they can't just make the decision that that's the door I want to get out of here, they stay in a smoky room the whole time. So we must make decisions, having known and appreciated that this is where we are, and getting ourselves out of it by making decisions into do I need to look for another job? Do I need to start a small business somewhere? Do I need to probably make movements that I never envisaged? Do I need to go and have some plot somewhere and do some mabati houses and start living there? And doing those things is not actually demeaning yourself. It's not even demeaning the capability of God. It's simply living the reality, because the more you fight reality, the more it breaks you. So in a long way, I think that's what we need to do to survive from this difficult situation that we are in. Simple things, in 3 simple steps. Just do an assessment, do take action, or rather be flexible and take action, so that you can start getting yourself out of where you are.
Thank you very much. I think I'm also interested to know, is there a time to eat? Because most of the times as a Christian or as a believer, there is the faith aspect. So at what point am I allowed to still, make that decision, make that assessment? At what point do I engage the spiritual me into the equation?
Very good question. I coach people on 3 things: success, greatness, and happiness. Because that's what we are all happy having. We all need to be great, we want to be happy, and we can only be happy when probably we succeed in the goals that we have set ourselves, because that's what we define success as. Is there therefore time? When I'm telling people about achieving what they need to achieve, I tell them whatever actions that you take must be smart. Smart means that you can't just live life anyhow. You must organize it, so that if there's actions that you're going to take, if there's anything that you're going to do to get yourself out of the situation you're in, first of all, it has to start now. Okay? So smart means it needs to be specific. You go to say, what are the specific 5, 3, 2 things that I need to do to start getting out of here? Very important. Then they must be measurable, so that you don't, so you must say something like, we must move out of this house by the end of the month, right? So that's measurable. Or I must reduce my budget by 50% or by 70%, it's measurable. Okay? And then it must be attainable, because you must do what actually is within your means. And then it must be relevant to the situation that you are in. Now, the last element is the time. Okay? First of all, even before you give yourself the time that you do the next thing, the time to get yourself out of trouble or to actually continue living is now. We usually say the next time, rather than the next time, the next best time to do what you wanted to do so bad yesterday is actually today, and it is now. So when you are doing these things, there are got to be discussions within yourself. And in the spiritual world, there is something we call the still small voice that sometimes speaks to us and tells us, this is what you need to do now. Sometimes because of the noise around us, we ignore it for the same reason that I was saying. What will people say? What will my colleagues say? What blah, blah, all those things. Now, that needs to be dealt with. And the way to deal with it is to put the time frame onto it. Okay? So when the still small voice talks to you in market field, or in what we call management or the marketplace, sometimes we call it the gut feeling. There's something, that thing you say, you feel and you say, I think this is the best time for me to do this. But because of the noises around you, you ignore it. So several things got to happen as you continue. So pray, of course, every time we are faced with hard situation, the first thing is, of course, pray. A prayer by the way, is not always telling God what we need to do. He need to do. Most of the time is actually listening to God telling us what it is that we need to do.
Yeah.
And he speaks to us through many things. The scriptures we have heard before, the sermons we have heard, there are a lot of information he has given us before. Now, once we consider all that in the process of prayer, then it's going to be clear that this is what we need to do, this is the time, and if it is not clear, you can give it a bit of time, because again, it's not good to rush into decisions. Put some plan. That's why I call it planning. And sometimes we advocate for planning in phases. So sometimes you can have an idea and you say, this idea, I will not execute it now. Let me sleep over it, or let me pray over it. Just that you can't pray forever. You must take action. I like, and I keep mentioning it to my students. And I say, there's a gentleman called Reverend John Mason. And he said something. Many years I read his book. His book was called You Are Born an Original, Don't Die a Copy. And he said something very profound. That so many times we wait on God, but actually God is waiting on us. Why? He has given you great brains. He has given you great resources. He has given you energy. And here you are still insisting on praying again and again and again over the same issue. And he has talked to you.
Now.
Yes. So
make the decision.
Make the decision now. Well, so start the process of making the decision now. It may not be concluded now, but you cannot do it forever. There has to be, when you feel at peace, to move, and that's what people would call the still small voice, or the gut feeling, and you feel like you're at peace that this is the direction, then take a go. Because again, the more you stick in a space of indecision, the more you sink into mental torture.
Thank you very much. It's very important for a Christian to understand these aspects. My other question goes to Dr. Emma. How significant is it to go for checkups during this time, considering the strain on financial situation? Where, are there available places or options that people can opt to go, considering the financial strain, but also they need to do these checkups?
An important question. But I would like to request, can I make a small comment about being overwhelmed?
Yeah, sure.
Not just because of this COVID, because there are different things that make us get overwhelmed. I just alluded to that at some point I was in deep depression that took treatment for 1.5 years, by the way. It's at that point when the decision-making process is a function of the will. But when the mind and the emotions go amok, sometimes your will gets overwhelmed and you become indecisive, as he is saying. And sometimes, I would be very honest, my personal experience, at that time, somebody trying to tell me, be decisive, I was wondering, what are you talking about? And when you find yourself in that place, please seek medical help. I'm a born-again Christian, filled with the Holy Ghost, demon chasing. And many believers do not believe it is possible to go into depression when we are believers. But I ask myself, when Solomon was saying vanity is vanity, all is vanity, do you think he was in a very good spiritual, emotional state? When Elijah, after fighting the prophets of Baal and seeing God said fire, the next day he was running for his life. And he went telling God, I don't think I want to be alive. Take me now. That's depression. So it's not sinful to find yourself overwhelmed. Even the psalmist sang, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that's higher than I. So there is a point when if you are so overwhelmed that you tend to linger in the indecisive state and you seem to be unable to make those decisions, it's a time to seek medical attention. There are medications that can help calm your emotions, calm your mind, and release your will to be able to engage, to take the next step. I thought I needed to mention that because I personally have been in such a state, and I know what it feels. And in that state, you wonder, people are laughing and you're thinking, what are people laughing about?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that to what he said. I totally agree with him, but I thought it's important to appreciate. There are times you may require medication to help your emotions to stabilize and your mind to stabilize so that you can summon your will to be able to make decisions. Checkups, we recommend them, especially once you are above 41 a year. So first of all, checkups should not be seen. We are not saying every month you have to go for checkups or not. And there are just a few basic things, like some of the basic ones that don't even cost money. Often, literally every pharmacy has a BP machine. You can go and get your BP checked because blood pressure has no symptoms. You don't feel unwell. Even if they charge, it's maybe 50 bob or 100. And once in a while doing that, it's not really too expensive. Checking a blood sugar, most places are 100 shillings also. What we call a comprehensive checkup as people get older, like for the men, you can prioritize, check your blood pressure, check your prostate. There's a blood test that we do once a year. It's not all the time. And these tests are available in the public sector. You don't necessarily have to go to the private laboratories. That will be much more expensive than not. For the ladies, we advise, especially at the end of your period, examine your breasts. Most cancers of the breast are actually discovered by the ladies themselves. And when you find a lump at the end of a period, the next 1 week or so is when the breasts are least lumpy. So you are likely to pick an abnormal lump that may be there. If you find something painful, I always say often relax. It's still important to see a doctor, but usually most cancers don't start as painful thing. When you find that an unusual lump that is painless, go for a checkup. But when you are beyond 50, I think an annual checkup, actually also beyond 40 for the ladies, the breast checkups are important. But do it monthly. And if you're constantly doing it every month, you probably will not require to go and do the mammogram. So not all tests must be done. And remember, it's just simply once a year. But if you already have the chronic problems like high blood pressure, diabetes, which are the commonest, find a way, at least do those tests once a year. What we check the kidney, we check the heart, we check your cholesterol levels, we check the breast health for the ladies, we check the prostate health for the men. And those who can afford it, we can check a few other things. But a lot you can do for yourself, and in the very low cost setups. You don't have to go to the expensive places.
So like you're able to get all these checkups from a public institution?
Oh yes. Okay. Walk to Mama Lucy Hospital. Go to Bagadi. Go to Kenyatta Hospital. Go to Kisii. Go to Machakos. They are all available. Go to Kisumu, Dala, Iko. You don't have to go even to Kenyatta. Any level 4, level 3 healthcare facility is able to offer those services.
Thank you very much. You know, considering the times that we are in, things have really changed. And also, I just want to throw in a question to you, Paul, where emotional drain is concerned. Because every time we receive news, like even the state that we are in as a country, as at now, there's that bit of emotional drain. Are there any strategies that we can be able to employ to make sure, even as much as things, all things are happening, every time you're watching news, something depressing will come in. Are there any strategy for someone to employ to be able to still maintain that physical health or that well-being of a person?
Very good. Thank you very much. And this is very important because before we get into situations that stress our minds or demand a lot on our mind, there are not so many things we can do to actually help ourselves get out of, avoid getting there. Because the most important thing, I think, is to avoid getting there. So Dr. I'm sure will tell us that in health, preventive health is probably much better and to be preferred than curative. Why? Because curative is very expensive, takes so long. Sometimes you don't even get back to the status that you are. So what can we do to prevent getting ourselves into such situations? The first thing, I think, is to appreciate that the life as is in reality. In life, there will always be bad things happening, and there will always be good things happening. Now, so many times we are not even so many times, we are virtually not in control of everything around you. There are very few things that you are in control of, and I think that is the most important.
Yeah.
Someone discussed it and said that in life there are two circles, the inner circle and the outer circle. The inner circle is what we call the circle of influence. The circle of influence is the circle that contains all the things that can be determined and affected by you in terms of your actions, in terms of your decisions, and so on and so forth. So you must appreciate that you cannot have all things put together, or rather, you cannot always have your ducks in a row all the time. Everything, you cannot say, if I want this, it's going to happen like this. If I want this, it's going to happen like this. It will not always be like that.
Yeah.
There is what we say, life has a way of throwing us curve balls. Balls that come and, we never expected that to happen, but it just happens. So if we are able to put ourselves in that state of mind, to prepare ourselves that anything can happen, and sometimes I get into trouble when I tell people that life has no guarantees, especially for Christians who say, hey, God is on our side. With God, we can do everything, which is true, but God also allows some things. And that's why we ask questions like, why do bad things happen to good people or things? And we can keep asking all these questions all the time.
Yeah.
So the sooner we agree that life has a way of treating us in different ways as we would expect sometimes, that's a critical element first. That's strategy number one. Accept life as is. The second thing is to also appreciate that we need to always take our responsibility.
Yes.
There are those things that we need to pray for God to do for us because they are beyond us, but there are also those things that we need to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like keeping improving ourselves, like keeping doing the things that we're supposed to do on a daily basis, because it is sometimes not doing these things or overdoing them that actually puts us in that state. Okay, so
self-control is important.
Exactly. So gaining that control is important. So as much as possible, be in control. Okay, and when you're not in control, and that's where I agree with Dr. Seek help for instance, if you realize that there's something that's really troubling you, and for some reason you are not able to handle it, the first thing that you need to do is to accept it is there, and you need to share it with somebody. Sometimes it can be sorted as easily as sharing it with the next closest person to you. And the reason for this is because a number of times when you speak it out, first of all, by just speaking it out, it provides some way of dealing with it. That's the initial way of dealing with it. It gets out of mind. It's probably what they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. So the moment you start sharing it with someone else, even if they don't say anything about it, it becomes a little more manageable. By the way, when you have a situation and you are telling it to somebody, sometimes you come up with a solution yourself because you grasp it better when you are thinking about it. So that's don't keep quiet with your problems. Now, sometimes we have to train ourselves to get out of cultures sometimes that we grew up knowing. Because sometimes they put us in trouble. Because we are told, you know, that's a strange language of saying, I mean, you just don't speak things to people out there, which is true. Because you don't go broadcasting your issues to everybody on the street. But there are things that can be shared with other people. So go to talk to somebody. And if it is becoming even bigger, that it is now becoming, it's becoming difficult to handle, look for a professional. Okay, and solutions can be, there's an approach that people that handle mental situations use a number of times. So even before probably you go for medications and all that, try the social element of it. That's why being social is very important. Who are around you? That's why Dr. mentioned to us that let's create some great situation, social situations in our lives, so that our kids are not in a pressure mood all the time. Ourselves, even at work, if you are a boss and a manager, just make it easy for the others, because that's how we avoid these things. Sometimes numbers don't pressure people too much. Become a little innovative, become easy, or find ways of making the environment easy. Another way of solving it is actually spiritual. Praying about it is just praying about it eases your mind telling, because the moment you understand God now has it, it is now God and me handling it. And somebody says, me and my God, we are a majority. We are a winning army. So that's because the issues that trouble us can easily be dealt with depending on the state of our mind that we are in, and to the extent to which we allow it to happen. So pray, talk to somebody, that's the social element of it. And psychological as well. If you're not able to sort it out through other people, see a psychologist, for instance. And if psychologists cannot do that through therapy, talk therapy, or any other form of therapy, then we can go to the medical element of it, where medications can come in and help. So, but living intentionally on daily basis, and also avoiding pressure, because much of the time the reason we find ourselves in that is because we live in a world that exerts a lot of pressure on us. So at work you're supposed to perform, at school you're supposed to perform for students. The economy is bad, the businesses are not performing, you have loans you can't pay. Living each day asking ourselves what next can be done, and also knowing that it can be handled. I mean, in this world there are all sorts of trouble, but somehow we will be able to handle them, and especially when we look them and identify them. Did you know that many times the reason we are not able to handle our problems is because we are not able to name them? Like, what is troubling me? You know, have you ever had people who would say, I am having some troubled mind, I'm not very sure what's troubling me. But the challenge when you're in such situation is to find what exactly is this. Is it that you did something and you think your boss is going to be mad at you and you'll be sacked? Or is it because you feel something in your body and you don't know whether it's cancer or something and it scares you so much?
Sure.
And you
So
even
like it's important to confront. You
Yes.
confront the issue and you're
Exactly.
able to define
And
it.
you deal with it, yes.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. Thank you. Our time is really running. Even as we consider the time, I would just like to bring in Daktari, where preventive measures are concerned. And especially looking at the generation, like the children that are there that are around 10 years, 11, 12, 13, the alpha generation, you realize that they are really tech savvy. They are tech savvy. They are people who, to some extent, they can really sleep and they can really overdo some of these things. What is it that a parent will need to consider to be able to exercise that preventive measure to protect the child from any kind of sickness as far as mental status is concerned, the emotional, the physical, and also the spiritual?
A great question. I had alluded to earlier to diet. Now you have brought in the other aspect that they rarely physically exercise because they're constantly on gadgets. And just as applies to food, our emotional mental health, garbage in, garbage out. It's very critical, even as adults, for us to be careful what we feed our minds with in terms of what do we listen to, in terms of music, in terms of news, in terms of the friends we keep around, what do we talk about, in terms of what do we see, what we watch, and in terms of what do we even, what we feed our minds is very important. Now, our children, I'm very saddened when I see a 1-year-old, a month-year-old baby is already being given a phone with games. And because mothers don't want the disturbance, they engage them that way. And then we have the attitude that children, especially if we think we suffered when we were growing up, we don't want our children to suffer. What we forget is we are denying them developing skills they will require for life. So I would advise young parents to set rules very early and follow them even through those difficult teenage years. Like for us in our house, we had a rule, this business, unaingia kwa room yako, unajifungia, no. You will interact hapa. You can go once in a while, but we need to limit the time. Remember, fine, they're in school and there's homework. Unfortunately, our systems are not good. But we need to not use gadgets as a way to gift and get away from being distressed by their demands. They need your presence. They actually need you to communicate with them. And they don't have to have gadgets. And we need to limit the gadget time. We need to get interested in what do they actually watch. Can we put guards on the gadgets that we give them? What games do we buy for them? We need to be extremely careful. We need time. I can see time has added. I could have said much more, but it is possible. We need to control. And start early, move along. If you are late, it's never too late. Especially if you make your children your friend. You will be able to guide them. Let me stop there.
Asante. I know time is almost over, but I would like to give us at least a minute each for us just to have a parting shot where navigating through changing times is concerned during this period where our personal health, wellness, physical and emotional, and spiritual is concerned. What will be our parting shot? Do we start with Daktari and then Paul? A minute. Thank you.
I think I don't even want to take a full minute. I think for me, what I would like us to take home is what I've kept repeating. Garbage in, garbage out. For your emotions to be healthy, what do you listen to often? What do you read? And again, what lenses do you use to see yourself or to see situations? A lot of us have been patterned to see things based on what our parents say, what our teachers say, what people in authority say. But we need to change that lens to look to the one who thought us and gave us breath and brought us to this world. What does he say? Feed your mind with what God says. And you will find, even when you are in the lowest of points, there is something in the Word of God. The Bible has an answer to everything. I'll also repeat something he said. It's a different season. Things have changed. The way you did things is no longer probably what you can do. But if we appreciated the sovereignty of God, we all know that Scripture does say, if God shuts a door, no one can open. If he opens, no one can shut. Most of us like he opens. But there are times he shuts a door, but we are stuck at that door, knocking, banging, banging, banging. Fungua, Mungu, fungua, 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 fungua. And he's looking at you and he's saying, wait a minute. Just be calm, like my brother has said. Listen. He's probably telling you, that's not the door. That's not what I wanted for you. He's giving you an opportunity to show you a new plan, a new direction. And there are people I know, I've listened to testimonies, whose net profits went up 100% last year. Because they didn't get caught at the door of, this is how I do things. They were able to say, Lord, I'm here. Direct me. Right now, a lot of businesses are booming online.
Yeah.
Those of us who are digital immigrants like me, kindly, please, let us accept, let us learn, and let God open our ears and our eyes that we may see opportunities in this current situation and even in the new ones that will come. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, in this world that is so troubled, I would like all of us to challenge all of us that are watching to embrace the serenity prayer. The prayer says, and you can go if you once we are out of here. It simply states this: God, give me the serenity to accept things that I cannot change, and the courage to change things I must change, and the wisdom to know the difference. This summarizes for us the two circles I had talked about earlier. The circle, our circle of influence, the things that you can do, you must do, and that's how you get yourself out of trouble. And then there are so many other things that you can't do and can't control. For those ones, just accept and have God. Keep praying to God to give you the courage, the wisdom, and all that you need to put up with it. But there's a lot that we can do, and let's embrace serenity prayer.
Thank you. We have some 3 minutes to go. And even as, is there something we feel we can put in?
I haven't maybe finished about the younger age group. Those of us who are guiding them, let us be there in person, not digitally or not by remote control. I think I would like to re-emphasize that. I do interact with young people. And one thing that comes out very strongly is that their parents don't even have a clue what they go through. So long as there is food, and it's like many parents look at engaging the digital world as a way to solve, to reduce their workload.
Yeah.
That's extremely unwise. The other comment I would like to say, especially regarding the emotional and the mental health of our children, parents, don't imagine that your children don't see the home environment. Don't imagine that they're not aware. You may be having struggles, and I like the children to know that we are human beings. We have never lived the day we are in today. We've never lived today before. So we also have challenges as parents that may affect us and how we relate. But a lot of children are fully aware of the dysfunctions in the home. So when all you do, you come and you find them moody and you are quarreling them. Can we be authentic? Could we kindly, like now in this COVID era, and incomes have dropped, be authentic with your children to be able to make those decisions that he was referring to, that you may need to move house.
Yeah.
Sit with them. Let them know in this family, our incomes have dropped by 50%. It's a reality. We are struggling with it. We need to change the way we do things. If we engage our children more, let our children, they see like we are super beings who make no mistakes, who never struggle with anything. I would encourage us as adults to be vulnerable with those under us, that they may know what it is to be real human and to deal with the challenges that arise. And those that we cannot change, the young people say it is what it is.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity and the time that Dr. Emma and Paul, you had, even as we had this panel discussion. And what has really come out is that we have self-control, and we can be able to determine quite a lot that happens to our mental health, our spiritual health, and also emotional, as well as the physical health. So, asanteni sana. I hope we'll be able to have a part 2 of this, where we will be able to look at different things. But for now, thank you, and may the Lord bless you. Bye.